Uh, this is the course Fine Arts, and in this module we'll be looking at building career as a professional artist or designer. We have been mainly working about fine arts, and in this module we'll be actually enlightening ourselves on and giving us a step-by-step guide on how to actually build a career as a professional artist or designer. The necessary things to do, the necessary things not to do, the career to pursue, the proper and possible course to do in school, higher institution, or whatever, and the proper step-by-step guide or way. So let's take step-by-step guide in that we can an upcoming or aspiring artist can actually take to become a professional artist. This is what we'll be mainly looking at in this module. Now we have the content of the module to be one. We'll be looking at professional artist or designer, where we'll be defining and enlightening ourselves on who we refer to as professional artist or designer. Who do we call a professional artist? It is another. Everybody can be most people can be an artist, but it is different to be a professional. What does it take to be a professional artist? We'll be looking at that. Then afterwards, we move on to education and skill development. And in this subtopic, we'll be actually enlightening ourselves on the possible and necessary education and how we can develop our skills as an upcoming or aspiring professional artist or designer. Then afterwards, we'll also move on to developing artistic voice and personal style. We'll be introducing to us how we can actually develop our own style and voice personally that will be mainly known to us as an artist. Then we'll look at portfolio creation and presentation, the physical and digital portfolio, where we'll be looking at how we can create portfolio physically and how we can actually present it both physically and digitally. Now, the next subtopic that we'll be looking at in this module is transitioning from fine art to applied design fields, and why many artists actually do transit. We'll actually look at that too. Then we'll move on to pricing artwork, contract and intellectual property basics, where we'll be giving us a step-by-step guide on how we can actually know the worth of our work, how we can actually negotiate for contracts, and how we can price our artwork. Then lastly, we'll be teaching us how we can actually source for clients as an artist, as a professional artist. So these are like a step-by-step guide in building career as a professional artist that we'll be looking at. Let's move on to the introduction. We have building a career as a professional artist or designer. It is a deeply rewarding pursuit and a demanding journey that actually blends raw creativity with strategic professionalism. Now, in today's dynamic creative landscape, artists and designers, whether be it a painter, illustrator, graphic designer, UI or UX specialists, or multidisciplinary creators, they actually transform their passion into sustainable livelihoods by producing work that resonates with audiences, work that resonates with clients or collectors. Now, the field has actually expanded far beyond traditional fine arts studios to include digital platforms, commercial branding, entertainment, tech industries. Well, everybody is now doing art in one way or the other, whether we like it or not, and even freelance entrepreneurship. Now, success in this field actually requires not only technical skill, and a distinctive artistic voice, but it also requires an understanding that creativity must intersect with business acumen, adaptability, and resilience in an increasingly competitive and technology-driven market. Let's look at who is a professional artist or designer. We'll be defining who a professional artist and designer and giving relevant examples of who we can call a professional artist and designer. Now, a professional artist, they are the professional individual that earns their primary living by creating original work primarily for aesthetic, emotional, conceptual, or expressive purposes. The common categories include the following. We have fine artists, which revolves around, which could be painters, sculptors, installation artists, and the likes. We also have illustrators as another category of professional artist or designer. We have illustrators who work in personal or gallery context, and we have performance artists or conceptual artists and the likes. Now, examples of professional artists, we have Pablo Picasso. These are one of the most common. When we are talking about fine art, we cannot do without mentioning all these artists, Pablo Picasso and the likes. They play a major part in the development of fine art. Examples like Pablo Picasso, we have Frida Kahlo, Banksy, or contemporary fine artists, which is the modern artist like Yayoi Kusama. A designer, who is not a designer on the other hand, a professional designer is someone who is an individual who plans and creates objects visuals, spaces, systems, or experiences with a primary focus of functionality. Focus on functionality, usability, user needs, and often clients or commercial goals. And common types include the following: we have graphic designer, we have industrial or product designers. These are the different types of designer that we have, of professional design. We have fashion designer, UI UX designer, we have interior designer, we have architect. Architect is often considered both designer and artist actually. Now, examples of professional under the of professional designer include Paul Rand, who is a graphic designer, Dieter Rams, who is an industrial designer. We have Johnny Eve, who is Apple product designer. We have Veggie Abloh, fashion is fashion plus art crossover designer. Now let's move on to the education and skill development. Now, as a aspiring professional artist or designer, what are the necessary education to pursue to build your career your career? Now, formal education actually provides a structured foundation for aspiring professional artists, whereby it offers comprehensive training in technical skills, art history, theory, and critical thinking. Now, in doing this, you can pursue a degree in fine arts, in visual arts, in graphic design, or illustration from reputable institutions such as the University of Lagos, UNILAG. We have Ahmadu Bello University of Zaria, or Yaba College of Technology in Nigeria. So this will definitely equip students with hands-on studio practice, access to mentors, and exposures to diverse mediums like painting, sculpture, digital art, and printmaking. Now, on skill development. Skill development has to do with self-taught routes and online resources, which have generally democratized skill development. Now, allowing artists to build careers through dedicated practice and accessible learning platforms like Domestika, Skillshare, YouTube channels, and the likes, and even free resources from Gnomon Workshop or Schoolism. We has also enable focused mastery of specific skills without geographic or financial barriers. Many contemporary artists they thrive this way. That is has to do with self-taught and skill development. Nigerian digital illustrator, for instance, Osa7, he actually started self-taught via online tutorials, evolving into a sought-after concept artist for international brands now. Now let's move on to the developing artistic voice and personal style. As an upcoming professional artist, how can you actually develop your artistic voice, which is mainly known to you, and your own personal style? Now, before that, let's look at what artistic voice refers to. It is the distinctive, recognizable signature that emerges from your consistent choices in subject matter, technique, color palette, composition, themes, and emotional tone. It is what makes your work unmistakably yours, what makes your work your own, what makes your work known to be yours, and the unique lens through which you interpret the word. Now, how do we develop artistic voice and personal style? And to do this is we have the following ways to develop it. You experiment widely first, and in doing this, you try different mediums, subjects, and techniques without judgment. Secondly, you identify recurring themes, and in doing this, you reflect on what you naturally gravitate toward, which could be cultural identity, social commentary, nature, abstraction, and the likes. Then after that, the next thing is to keep a visual journal. And in doing this, how do we do this? You document ideas, sketches, and references daily. And before you know it, over time, patterns will emerge. So the next one is to limit your palette and tools. Be intentionally constrained. Force deeper exploration and review your preferences. Another step is to seek feedback selectively. Make sure and to do this, you share your work with trusted peers or mentors, but make sure you protect your institution from overly prescriptive criticism so that they won't jeopardize your work and kill your morale. Now, you can also iterate consistently. That's the next thing. You produce a large body of work in series, like 10 to 20 pieces, exploring one idea to refine and solidify your voice. Now, a good example of this is of artists that actually develop their voice and personal style is Nigerian British artist, where we have Njideka Akunyili Cosby. She actually develops her voice by layering painting, college photo transfers, and textile patterns to explore post-colonial identity and diaspora experiences. Her distinctive mixed media style is instantly recognizable. So now let's move on to portfolio creation and presentation. how do we create portfolio for ourselves as an upcoming professional artist or designer? Sorry about that. How can we create portfolio as an upcoming professional artist and designer? Physical portfolio and the digital one. Actually, so we have one. What we refer to as portfolio. A portfolio is a curated collection of your strongest work that actually demonstrates skill, range, creativity, and problem-solving ability. The key principles include the following: one, your quality over quantity. Make sure your work is quality and is of quality and not just of quantity. And 10 to 20 pixels maximum is enough to show your best. Show your best. Most recent work first. Make sure your recent work is put first, and include process, sketches, mood boards, iterations, and the like to review thinking. Tailor the portfolio to the opportunity that you are aspiring for. So, for instance, the galleries, they want personal inspiration. Clients actually want relevant solution. It depends on what your opportunity you are pursuing. Now, digital platform portfolios or the other hands. We have different platforms like Behance, ArtStation, Dribble, personal website and all that you can actually build your platform, your digital portfolio on. And the structure include the following. You have one, you hero section with your strongest piece. That is your strongest piece. We actually hero your section. Then project case studies. That has to do with final work plus process plus brief description. Then about page with artist statements and CV. Your statements and CV. Then contact info and links. You apply that also. Now, still on portfolio creation and presentation. So this is used for gallery submission, art fairs, or in-person client meetings. The formats include the following: printed book, which could be A3 or A4, box prints or tablet presentation. Make sure you also include originals or high-quality prints or archival paper, and accompany with a leave behind postcard or small catalog. Now, examples are we have concept artists Shadi Sadafi, who worked on The Last of Us. He uses ArtStation to showcase environment design with detailed process breakdowns, highly valued by game studios. We also have Nigerian illustrator Chukwuemeka, who is otherwise known as Meka Onya. So Chukwuemeka Onya presents vibrant art futuristic work on Behance with clear project narrative, attracting international clients. So these are the different artists and examples that you can actually check on on how they do their things to develop your own portfolio, your digital portfolio for yourself that will actually say your style, express your style and your voice. Now, we have a tip here that you have to update your portfolio 3 to 6 months. Make sure you try to update your portfolio and remove other pieces that no longer represent your current voice. So this is just a normal advice, a beautiful advice and tip that you can actually use to build your portfolio that will help you to foster your portfolio building digitally. Now, let's move on, transitioning from fine art to applied design fields. Now, what we apply fields, they actually offer more consistent income, broader audiences, and opportunities to use artistic skills while also still expressing creativity. Common parts and transferable skills include the following. We have from fine art to illustration. It could be from fine art to concept art. It could also be from fine art to graphic design. These are different ways that we can transition that can occur when we are building career as a professional. You can transit from fine art to illustration, strong drawing, composition, storytelling. When we have the many children's book or editorial illustrator, they start as a painter. We have fine art to concept art, which has to do with games or film, world building, character design, and the like. Now, the steps, below are the steps to transition. Let's look at these necessary steps we can actually take to transit. 1, you learn industry tools like the Procreate, Photoshop, and the like. Then after that, you study the commercial brief process, what the client needs, the revisions and deadlines. Then you build targeted portfolio pieces. Then you take specialized courses or like schoolism, CGMA and the likes. And you also network on platforms like ArtStation, LinkedIn, or local creative communities. These are different ways different steps you can take to transit. Examples. A good example is we have Alfonso Mucha, who actually transitioned from fine art to Art Nouveau poster, and in which he is still highly artistic but commercially applied also. Now let's move on to the next subtopic, which is pricing artwork, contracts, and intellectual properties. This is just like how can we price artworks, knowing the worth of your artworks, and all has to do with intellectual property basics like copyright and all. Now these are the factors that need to be considered when you want to negotiate for contracts or pricing for artwork. You consider the size, the medium, the complexity, the time taken, and your experience level of recognition, market rates, and cost of materials that you use. These are the factors that need to be considered before you can actually negotiate and agree for a contract. And the common methods in finance, we have price. The common methods in finance, we have price per square inch or centimeter. For instance, we can have $5 to $50 per square meter per square inch for emerging artists, for artists that are just coming up. So it depends on you that will determine what you want. So, but you have to consider these factors mainly. Then for illustration or concept art, that one is majorly based on hours. It is hourly in the sense that it could be $30 to $150 plus per hour, or a flat project fee. For the print edition, the lower price prints with limited runs. And contracts, for contracts, you make sure you always use your written agreement for commissions, for licensing or sales. And key clauses include the scope of the work, the payment schedule, 50% upfront, which is very common, revisions, deadlines, queue fee, and the likes. Templates include graphic artist guidebook and the likes. Now, intellectual property basics. Now, this has to do with copyright. Copyright is automatic upon creation. So there is no need to register in most countries, including Nigeria. You selling a physical copyright is automatic upon creation. Selling a physical artwork, selling copyright. Selling a physical artwork is selling your copyright. So buyers get the object, you retain reproduction rights unless it is specified. Licensing. For licensing, you have to grant specific usages, e.g. book cover, merchandise, for a fee while retaining ownership. Register works with national offices like the Nigerian Copyright Commission for stronger legal protection. A good example that has to do with this copyright issue is Shepard Fairey's Hope. Obama poster led to major IP disputes with Associated Press over source photo usage and highlighting fair use of limits. Now, the last topic that we'll be looking at is sourcing for clients. It's one thing to become to be an artist, a professional artist, and it's another thing entirely to source for clients. As a professional artist, how can we actually source for clients? This is what we'll be looking at in this subtopic. Now, sourcing for clients as a professional designer or artist can be overwhelming sometimes, especially in a competitive field. But the most successful approaches in this era, in this 2026, it has to do with combining or building a strong foundation with consistent visibility and proactive efforts. You focus on 5 to 10 standard projects presented as case studies that clearly show the problem you have solved, your creative process, the final outcomes, and measurable results where possible. Choose a specific specialization such as branding for tech startups, book illustrations, UI UX for apps, or packaging design for local brands rather than trying to appeal to everyone. Next thing is to prioritize building an active online presence, which is very, very essential and important in this modern era. Building online presence to increase visibility and inbound opportunities. We have seen different artists whereby they try to design or they try to draw different celebrities and give it to them as gifts so that people will actually see them. They are actually doing this to build their online presence and engagement, to gain more followers, so they can actually have more customers and people that will actually patronize them. An example of this is when Speed actually visited Nigeria. Not only Nigeria, but when Speed is a streamer, a US streamer, and he did an African tour. Most artists, they actually do Speed and present this artwork to him, whereby he actually give them some kind of audience to build their platforms and engage their engagements online. Now, sorry. So these are mostly done to increase visibility and inbound opportunities. We have platforms like Instagram and Threads, and even Twitter from X, which is formerly known as Twitter, which are excellent for sharing reels of your process before and after transformations, and daily stories post consistently and engage with comments to grow your audience. While freelance marketplace can provide faster initial wins, use them strategically rather than relying on them exclusively. We also have platforms like Upwork, Contra, Fiverr, or niche sites such as Dribble Jobs and Behance Jobs. They help build momentum, especially early on. Now you try to prioritize your efforts effectively from 2026. First focus first on perfecting your niche portfolio and consistent posting, as this creates the foundation for everything else. This is a different way that you can source made more technically, or in this modern era that you can source for clients online. Now, in conclusion, to build career as a professional artist or designer, it actually demands a harmonious blend of unwavering creative passion, disciplined skill building, and skilled entrepreneurial strategy to navigate the complexities of a rapidly evolving global creative economy. So now that will be all for this class. We'll move on to the next module, which is module 9. We have been able to justify our effect